Hi, I'm Brett Hickey, founder and CEO of Star Mountain Capital. It's a pleasure to be here with you today with Teresa Vidger, founder and CEO of THD. Teresa, thank you for joining us. We're interested in getting some of your insights and perspectives on a few things. In addition to building a very successful business over the last nearly 20 years, you've done so from a standing start as a mother, raising a family, and building a business, which having two young kids of my own, I can appreciate is a tremendous amount of effort times two. And then second, working from home for a lot of us, as you can see in my background, is not a highly curated home office, unlike yours, which is. One of the reasons is I've been doing this for a few months. You've been doing this for 19 years. So having built your business in a virtual manner where you guys don't have offices and you're approximately 120 employees all work remotely, we'd love to get some of your best practices and learnings around that. So we're really excited to get your perspectives on that. Why don't we first start, tell the audience, Teresa, a little bit about THD, your business, and then we'll go into kind of the journey of being a mother, building a business, and then separately virtual work from home. What are some learning lessons that we can share with other people to optimize the world that seems like we're going to be living in for at least the next 2 to 3 quarters at minimum, probably.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Brett, for having me. So Temporary Housing Directory is a company that is a vendor for the insurance industry. So when people are displaced from their home, there's either a fire or hurricane or any reason that you're displaced, the insurance company relies on us to provide emergency lodging, like a hotel. And then if it's a longer stay, then we find them a house or apartment and fully furnish it. So that's what we do. We do it all across the United States. And when I started the company, selfishly, I didn't want to be driving around in traffic. I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I used to drive 100 miles a day showing people rental properties. I was a realtor. And the traffic was just getting worse and worse. And also, I didn't really want to have to pay for an office. So I thought, well, it's going to be better. I think it's going to be a better work-life balance to actually be able to just work from home. Because I did have children. And, when you're running a business, it takes a lot of effort and you're kind of working all the time. So it's nice to have your office right there at your fingertips.
That's great. And I'm sure as many Texans can attest, the traffic has unfortunately only gotten worse over the years. So I think you bet on the right trends as far as how you build your business. And I think it's interesting how also we'll touch on this later a little bit more, but culturally, I think that people use the word culture in a somewhat holistic sense often. And I think there are many cultures that can thrive and be successful. There are core ingredients to successful cultures, but one of the key things is making sure that you can tell people, here's what we're all about, and make sure that it can be a fit and a match. And so when your team that I know from the due diligence, we did on your business, you've had, phenomenal culture and great loyalty with your team and how you've treated them. And part of your culture is allowing people to have that better work-life balance and recognize that we have to in life make everything fit together. This old way of thinking about here's my life and here's my business and keeping everything highly segregated, just it doesn't really work that well. Maybe 20 years ago, before we had phones attached to us and Blackberries and iPhones and Samsungs, I guess not a lot of fewer Blackberries today attached to us, but now that we're all accessible all the time, it really is an all-encompassing journey that way, which you give people the ability to work in a more, I think, holistic and integrated manner, which I think is great, and people can self-select into that. So I think that's an important cultural thing. But talk to us a little bit about first the journey of building your business. I think first off, in any great business, I sit on the global board, as you know, for Harvard's alumni entrepreneurs, and some of the things that we did at Harvard Business School, really around case studies, talks first about what problem or problems is your business solving. And you're really solving problems for two constituents. One, for people who are challenged from fires, hurricanes, whatever storm or thing that happens in their house. Doesn't have to be a storm, of course, but that makes it tough for them to live there, helping them find something shorter term, medium, or longer term to keep their family safe and happy and keep them productive in what they're doing. That's, of course, a huge value driver for countless people across the country. But then in addition to that, for insurance companies, making sure that they can have good customer service, that they can add value and be responsive and help their clients at the end of the day and their customers get into situations to help work, while they're doing their job to help rebuild or whatever they're going to have to do from an insurance claim perspective. So I'm sure the customer service value that temporary housing directory adds for the insurance companies is greatly appreciated by all of their customers. So I think it's a great example of building a business that's solving one or more problems. So tell us a little bit now, just switching gears into the personal side and the experience of building a business as a mother. What was it like? What are some things that you can share going through it? Any lessons you've learned that you might be able to impart upon other people to help learn from each other instead of having to make all of our own mistakes over and over again? We'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey, which is nearly 20 years into it at this point.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, not very many people worked from home. So we, as a company, we kind of kept it hush hush. We didn't tell them we were at home. So it was a little stressful when the doorbell would ring and the dog would bark and the baby would scream. And so, you have that additional anxiety just trying to, mute your phone or, this is an off day or, whatever you're trying to do in addition to just the normal stress of the business. But as we've evolved, we tell our people that we are virtual because it's helped us in our marketing because we are in 17 states and we're able to do that because we are in a virtual environment. We don't have to have an office in one specific place. And it's really helped us, especially this year, because if something happens catastrophic and it happens in one region and your business is completely taken down, that's a huge liability. And so for us being all across, the country and already set up to be working virtually, I just am so happy that we did this because there's so many things. You talk about culture, and that's extremely important, but there's so many other things that go into working remotely. And I think everybody's kind of had those pain points, but security is a huge issue, especially for our customers in the insurance world. Their customers' personal information is extremely important, and it's our job to keep it safe. And, speaking about customer service, we're 24/7, and we are set up to be that way. We have people that work at night, we have people that work on the weekends, and those are their hours. Set up that way, and then we're suddenly having everybody go from home, and they didn't have their computers and, the phone system and the messaging and everything that we do that I'd like to share. We wouldn't be able to provide that service. And we are under SLAs to contact our customer within 15 minutes. We have to provide options, to put them in a hotel within 1 hour. We have to provide housing options within 24 hours. You have to be highly efficient. And if we didn't have all of our systems set up, we wouldn't have been able to, produce. So we're really happy we were already ready.
That's great. And I'm sure even with today's COVID world, how you're placing people and where you're placing people, there's always different iterations on how you have to adjust your business. So I'm sure that's added another layer of complexity that you're ready to handle. And I'm sure your insurance company customers and their end clients and customers are appreciative of that quick response time. I know when there's challenges being in Westchester, Connecticut area myself, we recently had a storm and power outages and things like that. And it's real when you've got, as you know, young kids and food spoilage, whatever things are going on, it's very real, and you can feel stuck pretty quickly. So having people that are experts to help you navigate something that's going to work functionally and for your family, I'm sure is invaluable for many.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that's one of the things we've had to be all throughout the years is very nimble. You have to be able to go with the changes. And there's been so many changes in the 19 years since I started the company. We were thrilled when Yahoo Instant Messenger came on the field. I don't know if you remember that, but we couldn't believe that we could talk to each other through our computer, and so as evolution has happened with technology, we've tried so many of the different tools that are out there, the different voice over IPNs, the messaging tools, just everything. And we finally have landed where we are today. And we feel like we have the best. And, we've been able to try them over the years as they've come out.
That's great. So tell us, Teresa, a few things as far as, let's tackle the question that I know is near and dear to many as we all try to support more diversity, female entrepreneurs, female business owners. It's tough, especially for those that want to be mothers. I think, at least I know in our family, my wife really does think of herself as the primary caregiver. We were both working full time. Now she's on some sitting on boards and not working full time. But even when we were, I'm incredibly appreciative and thankful that she, really took that responsibility. And it seems that a lot of women do. Tell us a little bit about how it was building a business while raising a young family, because I think that's something that not a lot of people hear about. You've been through it successfully. I'm sure you had challenges. What are some things that you reflect upon that you would share with other, young women that either have families or are looking to have families, that are building their careers, building businesses as entrepreneurs, perhaps like you were? What are some tips that you'd share with them?
I think it's important, as a woman, that you can do both. I mean, it's difficult if you're trying to start a business working from home, or if you're trying to go and work into an office. You're juggling a lot. You're juggling transportation, all the things that go along with it. But working from home specifically, I just wanted to create a space. And, I just had an understanding with my children that if I'm in this space and there's something up to my ear, don't talk to mommy, so they write me little notes, and, if it's urgent, then I know, and I can kind of dismiss myself. But, you can do it. You can have it all. And your kids appreciate that. And I didn't really understand how much my kids appreciated it until they got in high school. And they talk about, the mentorship and how they saw how hard I worked. But yet I was always there for them, for their activities, for their sporting events, for everything that they had. Sorry. But, so they weren't left out at all. It was just a matter of, they knew that mommy had a job to do, and they respected that. And I just think that every woman can do this. That's
great. Yeah. And one of the hopes that I have, I know my mother, who unfortunately passed of cancer when I was young, she was an executive employee at IBM, and was very tough trying to juggle and balance everything for her with a young family and commuting. One of the hopes that I have is that this learning, combined with, forced learning of people working from home, combined with today's modern technology, we have portfolio companies that are video conference experts and things of that nature, and telehealth businesses and things like that. My hope is that is going to really add a lot of value for women in particular, but also for everybody. I think the experience that I have with my young kids, where I can get little moments with them, and that extra hour on each end of the day that I don't have to spend commuting, boy, does that make a big difference in a little experience in the morning, or something for little sports makeshift camps for my kids are young. So little makeshift sports after their school and stuff is it's just a great experience to be able to be more engaged in their lives. So I'm hoping that's some silver lining that comes out of COVID. And you're a great example and testament to being an example for your children that way, and for other women. I think it's great. So switching gears a little bit now, let's talk about the working from home. Let's talk about there was the challenges you faced 19 years ago, which was very different, and reminds me of one of the books I'd read from Richard Branson when he was building Virgin, and he'd like pretend to be on the phone with somebody. Oh, just hold on, I'm just on the phone with XYZ, but it's, he's kind of making it all kind of work and creating, the facade to some capacity, which you were as well a little bit, it sounds like, to say, oh, well, I'm, not, you're sort of pretending like you might be in the office at the beginning. Of course, you later on recognize that that's actually an advantage, not a disadvantage, which has helped your business thrive for your customers and insurance clients. But talk to us a little bit about today's modern age of technology that allows us to do so much more. What are some tips you have for, let's start with the culture. If you're an executive, so pretend you're talking to other business owners, C-level executives, giving them advice on building a remote workforce and a culture. What are some of the things that you do and you've done to create such strong bonds and a strong culture with your team in a way that's different than what most of us are used to doing?
Yeah, I think it's important that when we communicate internally, every communication that we have is on a video call. So you don't ever have a call without a video call, and you can look that person right in the eye and you feel like they're just right there in the next cubicle. But you're looking at them and you can see if they're having a bad day. You can see if they're not engaged. You can totally tell by their body language how they're feeling. So that's one major rule that we have here as an organization. And then we also have our team calls. They're all video calls. So internally, everything is video. And that's made a huge difference for us because you can't tell by on the phone if people are paying attention and their body language. And, if some stuff's running around, you can tell that they're distracted. So that's really super important. But what we do too is a lot of employee recognition, and that is huge for us. So we have a weekly recognition. We kind of gather up all the great kudos that we've gotten that week, either from our website. We have reviews that are left on there. We do have surveys that are sent, people that just say great things about my employees. And so we send them out once a week and recognize the great job that they've done. And we also do little, at the beginning of Corona, everybody was just kind of depressed. So we did spirit days and we had people dress up, one day for a sports team and the next day, whatever it was, we had spirit days, and it just was a way to bring us all together. And then we have personal things. So if we do little contests each month, and it's different things. And that way they can share their family and kind of what they're doing. Right now it's like, what is your favorite summer thing you did? And then sharing those pictures. And that way the whole company can get to know everybody, even though we're virtual. Now, before Corona, we also did retreats. So we would have a retreat once a year by department. They'd get like a vacation rental, so they all were staying in the same place together.
That's fun.
Just having a good time and bonding and, doing little team building activities and not making it about work, but making it about the people. So they actually care about each other when they get back to work, and they are having to communicate over video. And then we also have an annual event that we do with the entire organization. And that's where we award, the best performers of the year and just really celebrate our successes. I just think it's really important that you're constantly recognizing your employees and communicating with them.
That's helpful. I remember one of our investors once told me that in managing people, I'm a younger CEO. I just turned 42 last week, and so I'm starting to do this in my mid-20s. I still am, but especially back then, always seeking wisdom and learning from other people as much as possible. And I guess I've just continued that today because it continues to create a lot of value, I think, for me. And one of the things that he told me is that people remember negative things about 7 times more, something 5 to 7 times more than praise. So if you're constantly, you got to give sort of 5 to 7 good things for every bad thing for them to feel that it's balanced. And I said, really? 5 or 7 to 1? That just seemed like a tremendous amount. But apparently that's what the studies show. And it seems that you found that constant reinforcement so people are staying engaged and they're realizing that what they're doing every day matters. It matters for the people's lives that are uprooted, matters for your clients, for insurance companies that want to provide excellent customer service for their policyholders. And I think those are great tips, frankly, culturally for any business, but I guess particularly in an environment where you don't get the other types of interactions that you might otherwise get of grabbing lunch with people and things like that. Anything else, Teresa, come to mind as far as things you've really found helpful, maybe even learnings of things that sometimes it's good to hear about things that you found didn't work so well as far as building a virtual company and workforce?
Yeah, we've tried different applications that, people can give like their input anonymously and things like that. And we just find it's better to just, talk one-on-one with the employees. We actually do also, like every quarter or 6 months, we'll say, hey, we made this change. What do you think about it? Was it positive? Was it negative? Do you have any other ideas? Because, we're smart, but they're in it every day and they see some of the things that they think, well, this could be more efficient if we did this or that. So we're constantly asking for their opinion and we actually listen to them. And I think that makes them feel valued too, that they're not just, doing the day to day and nobody cares what they're doing. We're actually listening to any input that they can give us to make us more streamlined or more successful or, just do a better job in general. So that's the other thing that we do. I think that's really good.
That's great. That's helpful. Thank you. And it's nice to hear what you found was harder, the online feedback type of things. I know Ray Dalio, Bridgewater talks about that a lot. And I think there's certain cultures that could work in, but we've actually experienced something similar, that at the end of the day, engaging with people, listening to them, hearing them out, and making sure you're getting that feedback so people are bought in to the processes and they understand and recognize that you actually and your team cares what they have to say, and you want to help make their jobs better, their lives better, be able to help provide better customer service. Well, that's great, Teresa. Thank you very much. Any other kind of parting things that come to mind as other learning lessons over your nearly 20 years of building your business and family and working virtually that you think would be helpful for people to learn?
I just want to say for companies in general, it's the security and making sure that the employees understand their smallest actions can cause great damage to the company. And so one of the things that we also do are phishing campaigns, and we send out emails that are meant to trick our employees to click on it. And that could cause a lot of harm. And so we do these campaigns. And so now everybody's afraid, they're afraid to click on anything, but thank goodness. But there's a lot of bad people out there. So, we are constantly educating our employees of what's out there that's trying to get us. They're trying to take down the company, and then they can do a little class if they actually click. Because the whole thing is just an education and, making sure we're a paperless company, but if you had to print something, you have to make sure it's shredded. We have company owned computers because we don't want them just downloading anything on their computer. So we don't allow those types of things. So I think security is really, really super important. And then you just have a really simple means to communicate with each other.
Yeah, I think that the great tips are our technology and our compliance team, their ears will be ringing with joy listening to you say that the rest of our team will listen. And I think it's a good example of risk management, and it's sort of a concept of almost like auditing or doing a self-penetration type of test, as they talk about it in cybersecurity land, to stress test your business, look for challenges because you want to find the challenges and fix them before somebody else does. And you're right, in the more globalized world, as technology is stronger and available to more people, including a lot of people that are in challenged environments in life in different countries, the demand for them and the ease of them to try to attack people and the sophistication is incredible. Having emails that look like it comes from somebody in your team, that sounds like something they would say, even where people have hacked in and will reply to things.
Yeah.
So we always say to people, if you're not explicitly expecting something from somebody, don't click on it. Ask them, call them, right? Double check that. That's fantastic advice, Teresa. Thank you for that, and thank you as an investor. Thank you and your team for all of your hard work on behalf of just all of the people across America that you're helping them. I know a bunch of friends of mine got displaced with recent storms, and I know your company and similar people that are helping families get into better environments is really critical, and I'm sure that's why your insurance company clients have been so happy with the service you're providing. So thank you and your team for all of your hard work. We really appreciate it, and thanks for sharing all your tips and time today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for everything.
Great. Thanks, Teresa. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.